Hi, John Solari. We're back with part 2 with Cynthia Lee Clark, and we're going to talk a little more, and then we're going to get into acting. We didn't finish. I wanted to finish. It's really any movie offers about your book or anything like that?
No, I have had people talk about a reality show, which I think would be interesting but boring, because most of my time when I spend it forensically is doing a lot of internal research, looking at documents, looking at things, and then you put the puzzle together to see who committed it, who didn't. Suicide autopsies, I do a fair amount of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to determine whether or not the person actually really committed suicide. Family members really want to know that if there's any question at all, they want to know the truth. Could it have been an accident or could it have been murder? So we put together a very intense search for the last 3 to 6 weeks of their life and look at everything, not to mention the reports and the autopsies and the pictures and everything, to determine whether or not it was suicide versus something else.
Wow. So let's get now, why did you become an actor?
Oh, I became an actor a long time ago,
that.
a long time ago. I think I can remember at the age of 3, I was in a beauty pageant, and Disneyland had opened up, and I wanted to go to Disneyland. And somehow, Hollywood, Disneyland, the beauty pageant, all were together, and I thought that that's what I should do, act, so I could go to Hollywood and Disneyland. And I never, ever stopped that dream.
It's amazing how, I'm just blown away when people that young know what they want.
Oh yeah, no, there
Go
was
for
no
it.
doubt in my head. I mean, I took many paths. I became a nurse. I went to medical school briefly and dropped out because of a man. Oh, it's always because of a man. But then got my doctorates and continued education separate from acting, but never stopped acting during the same time period.
Are you in medical school? You were still acting?
I was doing little modeling jobs and things. At that time, I wasn't. It was a few years later before I became more successful.
I had Mary McKay on yesterday, who when she was a model, then I told her she became an actor. I said, now you can eat, right?
Yeah.
That must have been, when you were a model, it must be a lot different today than it is back then. Even the money, much greater money back then, wasn't it?
I think it depends on who you modeled for. It was so money. I was also tiny. So my modeling jobs were harder to get because I wasn't 5'10", 5'11". I was 5'4" and petite.
Well, you're the same size. I remember when I was going out with a Penthouse Pet, Lori Wagner was her name, and I came back and all the Penthouse Pets came back, and they were about your size.
I was a Playboy bunny.
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
With 5-inch heels, and
Oh.
I got fired after my second day.
Was it out here you were?
No, I was a Playboy bunny in Chicago.
Oh, the main office.
Yeah, you go through a week, 10 days of training, and you learn everything, and the bunny dip and all that good stuff. But it was before sexual harassment was thought of or even cared. So this one guy one day grabbed my bunny tail in a way that I thought was totally inappropriate, so I threw a drink in his face, and I was fired.
Well, back then it was totally appropriate to be inappropriate.
To be inappropriate, exactly.
It really was.
It was, and it was, but it was an interesting experience. It was short-lived. I did it for the money, and even that short period, on those 2 days that I was actually on floor, I made a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, I bet you, yeah.
I mean, huge tips.
And the money went someplace those days. $1 was worth $1.
Oh yeah, it was well worth more. I mean, I put myself through 1 or 2 semesters of school just on tips.
Really?
Yeah, I was in nursing school at the time. So it was like, hey, cool.
And why did you give that up, nursing?
I technically haven't given it up. I don't do it. I broke my back a couple of times. So that makes it rougher to do some of the mechanics of it. But what I still do is technical advising, and I play a lot of nurses on TV because I can play it real. Like you can bring that realism to a scene that is so much easier than teaching someone what it's like to live in a cell for a period of time, and you're going to be instinctual in how you react.
Yeah, it becomes second nature. You're right.
Right.
But you also, I mean, you could substitute. I mean, I can't think off the hand how to do, but I would. You know, if I was teaching an actor, how would you substitute it? There has to be, you know, if you ever been stuck in a car or a bathroom
Or closet. Yeah.
You know, and what did that feel like?
Yeah, no, I know there are ways to do it. It just, for example, in nursing, I just go and immediately do what needs to be done. No one has to tell me. I know how to take a pulse. I know how to hang an IV bag. I know how to set it up in an OR situation. I know immediately where and when to hand what, and it flows. It's just so much easier than someone where you have to have someone like me tell them, no, pick the other instrument up.
Do you watch Edie Falco's show?
I do.
How does that come across to you?
Actually, it's not necessarily untrue.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
You know.
Unfortunately, there is a high incidence in medical, dental, and
Maybe
nursing
drug use,
of drug use, and then that changes behaviors.
Yeah, because it's so easy to get.
And it's a stressful. We look at it and we say, oh, well, you're healing people, but you're healing people and they live or they don't. And every time you lose a patient, whether you're a doctor, a nurse, or an orderly, there's a piece of you that goes missing if you're a...
Well, that's why I asked you about death row. It wasn't depressing. You said no.
No, that I didn't find depressing. Because I thought they did this to themselves. They committed these crimes. There was only one I fought for to appeal, because I didn't see that the evidence was so strong that it was clear. But in the other ones, I mean, one of the clients I went with had videotape of him committing the murders. Hello.
And I didn't do it. He said.
And it's not doctored. I had it checked out. It's videotape from across the way at a one of those night cameras to watch things. Hello. What?
So when you used a lot of this in the soap opera. Now, what soap were you on?
I was on Days of Our Lives.
Is that New York or out here?
Here, out here.
Because the soaps are dying out.
They are.
When you were in them, they were a big
high,
thing.
yeah.
I mean, you were the superstars of I was going to say the midwife, but the wives, mothers.
Yeah. And college kids. And miscellaneous kids. When we moved up to San Francisco and were looking for a place to live, the guy who was showing us the apartment said, "You look an awful like this girl on Days of Our Lives." And I didn't say anything. My husband at the time just looked at it because he hated when people recognized him.
Really?
He did. He wasn't in the industry. And he says, wait, her character name, Jill. And I said, yeah, that's me. So we got the apartment.
So your character's name, so the audience, because they'll see you too.
Yeah.
What was you just known as Jill?
It was just Jill, Nurse Jill or Jill.
Days of Our Lives. What years? What is?
86 to 92.
Wow, man, you had a good run.
Yeah, I did.
Wow, yeah, a good run.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And that just about then, a few years later, it really started to die out.
Yeah, because I left. No.
So you look happily there. I have a friend, Tanya Walker.
I know Tanya.
Tanya, yeah, but we didn't know it. What a talented actress she is. I said go to acting. I took her to Actor's Studio a few times, but she understood the work. Now your training, what kind of training did you have? I have Uta Hagen's book here, which I recommend to all actors. Actually, Mary McKay.
Uta Hagen was a great teacher.
Oh, and it's a great book, and it's funny because Mary McKay came on yesterday, and she was carrying this book. I've never met an actor yet who does that. Usually they buy it and it sits on their shelf.
Right.
In my acting classes, we used to read it the first half hour of class. I used to have all my students get this book and work on it. So what was some of your training?
Well, I was with a repertory theater in New Orleans, where it was trained by fire, and I worked with June Havoc, who was directing at the time, which was really fascinating. Then I got a degree in psych, nursing, or education, and communications theater from Northwestern. So that was
that's a very good school.
Yeah. And then I came out here and did some of the typical classes that everyone kind of goes to many years ago. They're not necessarily around anymore. But I got involved with the SAG Conservatory and was on the committee, and so I ran a lot of seminars and studied with Michael Donovan and Jeff Gerard, Claire Sennett, all great teachers who I walked away from every set of classes with them with something, at least, where I've gone to some and it's like, yeah, why'd I waste my time?
Well, I know you used to hold seminars at the, what was that like?
AFI. That was wonderful.
Was it the AFI or SAG?
SAG AFI. It was the joint venture of the two. I held some with ATIS, the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences.
Which is right behind us.
Right behind you, yeah. It's setting up a seminar and going through and being part of it, or a class, is incredible. I did SAG Conservatory for 22 years.
22 years?
I interviewed more than 2,000 people.
That's what I was going to say. You should be interviewing. I shouldn't be. What was some of the interviews that you did that you remember?
Richard Dreyfuss was my last one. He was my swan song, and he was incredible. Eddie Albert was great. He got up and did his vaudeville act.
Really?
It was, and he did soft shoe and what have you. What my favorite though was Jack Lemmon.
Ah.
Jack Lemmon and I became friends after it.
Great actor.
And remained friends until he passed.
I years ago there was a bar in New York called Jimmy Ray's, where all the actors, they New York actors know. And I would go there and we'd be sitting there, and I would tell, you'd be sitting next to me, I'm going to write on a piece of paper, who do you believe is the greatest American actor living? And I'm telling you, you're not going to get it. And when I show you who it is, you're going to say yes, and then you owe me a drink. And every time, no one would ever mention Jack Lemmon. And then when they would look and they say, Jack, oh yeah. I mean, he was so good.
His range
was
incredible. I mean, from serious Wine and Rose, Days of Wine and Roses, to any of his comedies, Out to Sea.
Well, I like the Out-of-Towners too.
Yeah, oh yes, of course, the Out-of-Towner. I mean, I don't think I know, and Some Like It Hot. I don't think there's a Jack Lemmon movie that wasn't superior.
To me, he was the greatest living, at the time, American actor.
Yeah.
There was nobody could do what he did. The closest I think it ever came to him was someone maybe like Sammy Davis Jr., who's another talent, extraordinary, and was never given the credit.
That unfortunately happens too much.
Oh, too much, a lot of it. But yeah, Jack Lemmon, oh God, but that's...
And a good person. I mean, not only just a great heart and an open heart to, have conversations with you, and you think, I did something, I went to his funeral. I was lucky enough to get to go to his funeral. And Kevin Spacey had met him early on in his life. And from what I hear, he helped, mentored kind of Kevin into what Kevin is today. Well, I mean, Kevin will take credit for most of that. But
he has
Jack
given
Lemmon,
Jack Lemmon.
Yeah. So he did a eulogy to Jack Lemmon. And he talked about the days behind the theater and talking to Jack Lemmon every day. And then he said, one thing that Jack did, and you knew you were somebody in Jack's life, is Jack didn't care about computers, he didn't care about things. He wrote letters. He believed in the written word, and they were handwritten letters. And he expected a letter back if he sent you a letter. And so Kevin Spacey says he's got this whole drawer full of letters. And I'm sitting there, and Tom Hanks is on one side of me, and Tony Curtis is on the other side of me. And all of a sudden I jumped up and said, I have letters!
Really?
And they all turned to me, and I went, I'm sorry, I just got excited. But I was like so excited because I just thought it was something between him and me, when I realized, no, it was something that meant a lot to him.
Oh, that's wonderful. What a memory that is. What a great... And another, you just mentioned another one, is Tony Curtis.
Yeah.
Another talented, never got the credit that he was due.
Yeah, that's true.
And he always talked about when he did the Salvo, Boston Strangler. I mean, he should have been nominated. I thought in The Sweet Smell of Success with Burt Lancaster, I mean, he was brilliant in that. So was Burt. I mean, oh, what a great movie. And they were good friends. And he worked a lot with Burt Lancaster. That was my idol.
Was it?
Oh, I mean, God, the guy. And he was another great actor.
Yes, he was.
Did you ever get any of them to come on the AFI?
No, I didn't talk to Tony. Let's see, I got to talk to Jimmy Stewart, but Jimmy thought he wasn't important enough.
Really?
Yeah, hello.
You talk about humble.
Oh God, it was like, oh my God, people would be lining up to come and see you. Of course, Carl Malden was going to come, but then passed. I'm trying to think. I've had 22 years worth, so there were a ton.
Carl, that nose.
Yeah, you can't miss that nose.
And what a great actor! Did it all. We just lost Eli Wallach.
Yeah.
You know, and
I worked with Eli Wallach in Chicago Story. He was
really
wonderful.
Wonderful. I told you I was working on the execution of song. Gary, well, he was in the movie, and when I used to do the actor studio in New York, and he was the moderator, so we got a lot of communication back and forth there when I did it, because the letters have never been done till this day. They've never been done. It's a very great thing for an actor to work on. Now we're getting back to acting, I hope, but. What are some of your training was in?
Well, my training was kind of more haphazard. I mean, I studied with UCB, United Citizens Grade for improv.
And that helps.
I studied with Second City back in Chicago. So that was way, way back when.
When it was real.
Yeah, when it was in its early days. Yeah, very early days.
When it wasn't such.
Yeah, different now.
Now it's commercialized.
Yeah, that happens, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, even Actor Studio came up with Inside the Actor Studio.
Yeah. But I ran a rep group for the TV Academy for 2 or 3 years. And we would have segments of 16 to 18 weeks of classes. Some of the best teachers ever came through there. It was wonderful. Like I said, Hank McCann, Michael Donovan.
Michael Donovan, I heard of.
Yeah, Jeff Gerard is incredible as a teacher. I mean, he empowers you when you're listening to him. It's like, whoa, and stretches you incredibly.
And today, it's amazing when you look at the actors today. We're getting all the ones from Europe.
Oh yeah.
The American actors want to be movie stars, not actors. You know.
Well, and they have a whole different philosophy in, say, England. They want to work.
They want to work.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They'll do
and they
anything.
train.
They want to work. Yeah.
They train. Over here, they don't want. They want to go in front of the camera and
And just be.
And just be.
Yeah.
You know, because I used to tell people, outside of what's between a woman's legs, that's the second most powerful weapon in the world. It's the camera.
Okay. From a male's point of view, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, country's gone up there. That's with the camera. I mean, just look at Jerry Springer. You know.
I know.
I mean, people.
He's actually a really nice guy.
He is, but I mean.
Show is crazy.
I mean, the people that you see on these shows now, what they'll do just
to get on the show.
That's
the crazy ass things they do to get on the show.
And they can get a series out of it. Get reality shows, you know, when they had, what are these crazy, with the Italian show they did about Jersey Shore and this and that. And then they had Mob Wives and this.
Oh, yeah.
It's disgusting. You know, if you ever get Sonny Franchese out, you know, they wouldn't put it that shouldn't be.
No,
you know.
I want to see the wonderful talents that we have, the sitcoms again, and the drama shows, even the procedurals. All of those were done with finesse years ago.
I saw in the news today, they're bringing back, what's the one where the two little twins were in?
Full House.
Full House. It was talking on the news, they're going to do the series again. Because it's such a big hit on, I guess, TV.
Syndication, yeah.
And they want to do it. What's his name? Samos is part owner, they said, but they're bringing it back. And that's it. Well, TV land, we don't get residuals on that. They gave that away. The TV
gave
land,
too much away.
Too much away. Were you ever on the boards or anything?
I was on SAG's board many years ago. I was not on AFTRA's, but I was on a lot of committees.
Really?
And I went to, as you did, the first convention of the new union.
The new union.
Yeah.
It's it has to change. The thing that I think most and foremost has to come up, which I hear all the time, is we can't strike. We can't strike.
We need to strike.
We have to at
or we
least
need
have
to
the
be
threat.
able to strike, yes.
You can't walk in without, if they know you listen,
No.
my gun is empty, how are you going to hold them up?
Yeah, exactly. They need to fear us. You know, years ago when the soap operas went on strike, PG&E customers called up such they had blocked the whole telephone thing in Burbank so nobody could call. There were hundreds of thousands of phone calls. That strike was settled in 24 hours. Because if customers aren't going to buy their products, then they got to do something.
They got to do
so
something.
Things were settled. So why we should be afraid, yes, it could go on. Yes, there could be a slight issue, a problem, but we've lost way too much. We can't continue. We might as well work for free then.
We are, damn near.
Yeah, damn it.
$100 a day.
Or 50.
50. And even I was at the last meeting with the board, and they were showing, the new contract, and I'm saying, I remember when I worked, my first residual was 100%.
Yeah.
I knew if I was getting paid, I knew I had
get
to check.
another check.
I was getting paid another check to pay the rent. Now that doesn't happen.
No.
I did a movie, the first, I get like $20, this and that. What is going on? When I did Messenger of Death, I got my first residual was $14,000.
Oh, nice.
That was the first residual, it was
Right.
$14,000. But that was in the 80s,
Yeah.
86. Now you get one for $20.
If you're that lucky. I mean, I've gotten many checks for 1 penny, which is like
we got that, but I'm just saying we're being abused. And a lot of it has to do with, I'm a firm believer, there's a conflict of interest when you're dealing with your boss.
Yeah.
How are you telling your boss, listen, you got to pay me more money?
Well, look at also the fact that other unions use professional negotiators.
That's what we need.
Use our own.
That's what I'm saying. There's a conflict of interest there.
Why don't we spend the money and hire somebody who learns all of our particulars and goes in there and fights like hell?
Well, and that too is because if they do that, then a lot of these people won't have work.
Well, they could have. I mean, somebody has to teach them, and somebody.
No, I'm
has
saying
to,
they're getting serious. There's a kickback. Well, if you give us this, we'll give you that.
Well, yeah.
It's corruption. I'm in everything, everywhere today.
No,
But I mean, we do need. I've always said that you can't have a conflict of interest. You can't tell a producer that's gonna. And he'll say, "Well, okay, you want a job?"
Right.
And you see, some of them got series that retired now.
Which is very interesting. All of a sudden,
That's what
you
I'm
have
saying.
a series.
That's why I'm telling you have a. We get one thing and lose 2 to 3 things.
Right.
I mean, down to $100 a day, that's a disgrace. Even the airfare now, I mean, we I was talking to
If you get airfare.
Yeah, if you ever relentless. I asked somebody about, they're making movies in Manhattan now. It's just, oh, my brother makes them now, but it's, you gotta pay your own way.
You gotta
and
work
you gotta
under
put
the
yourself.
Manhattan contract instead of come from here.
If you don't have a place, you gotta put yourself up, pay everything. So what are you saying? If I gotta fly in, this and that, then they only want to pay $100 a day?
So I've
It costs
paid
you
more
money.
to get this role.
And this is
than
what
I'm
I'm
gonna
paying
earn.
union dues for? This is what my union is about? And they say, well, this is helping the independent. No, it's not.
How's it helping the independent?
How is it? Because he can't get the talent that he really wants, because they're not coming. He wants somebody that lives in another state. They're not going to come for $100 a day.
No.
It's just sad.
No, how the independent is helped is if you do a movie and you have friends, you go to your friend and you say, so-and-so, who is very well-liked and has a high Q, would you do me a favor? I got to go under low budget, so it's going to be $100 a day, but you're doing me a favor. And they will do it if you have that connection.
Right.
But you have to have that connection with them. Lowering everything isn't going to make Dustin Hoffman do an independent feature.
No, it's not. And but $100 a day is just, it's sad. And you hear that, and then if they're going to charge you, they charge you tax, and it's not. So what are you going home with, about $35, $40?
It's ridiculous, yeah.
Less than that, you got to pay your agent 10%. So you might walk home with about $30.
Yeah.
You're there for the whole day. And they said, well, don't you it's exposure.
And look how long it takes for you to get your insurance. At $100 a day, you won't get it in a
forget
year.
the address.
Even if you work for every single day.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It really is. I mean, But then again, I had a friend, she wants actors to complain, and she says, well, you don't have to be an actor.
Well, if you're an actor, if it's in your blood, I disagree.
No, I know, but but the point she made that you can't complain. We got to do something about it.
Well, yeah, and that's why
I ran for the
when
board.
it's time to elect, we need, ideally, more people will start to learn and question and make decisions based on what's going to help the industry and us, and not who they like the best.
It's true, because now everything, everything, they know what they're going to do. I knew when they had the merger, it was the first time I saw at the back of the envelopes, your name wasn't on it. So there was no way to check up on stuff in the ballots. They said 85%, and everybody I talked to voted against it.
Same with me. I don't know anybody who voted for it.
And they 85%. They said, give me a break.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
When they do things like that, it opens more questions than answers.
Well, the government does it, everybody does it. It's the way of life today. Mm-hmm. We're going to get our way no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. It's what I want, and that's it, period.
Whoever has the most money and they have the power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it's going to be. Are you doing anything now?
No, I am speaking in September for the Insurance Commission on terrorism. I'm speaking on terrorism.
On terrorism?
Yeah,
Oh.
and that's another one of my areas of expertise.
Well, there's something we need. Well, I don't want to go into all that stuff, it's crazy, but well, we can't go into that.
Yeah, it's a whole nother bit, but at least it's something,
I got one of the, the Italian comes right out of me, and I say what I should, a lot of times, I should keep my mouth shut, because I have a habit of just, I don't know if you can read that in me. You don't read it. So you must have a lot of fun doing that.
I do. I actually
Reading people, I mean.
Yeah, except okay. For example, what I was not doing. I just started dating again recently. Went through a very protracted bad divorce, and decided not to date, and then opened up and said I was going to date. So the first person that date was horrible. It was 2 days, and it was really okay. Red flags, leave. Okay, good. Now I wait a while, and I go and I date again, and I think to myself, okay, I could profile him, but I'm going to learn too much too soon, and the whole part of courtship is growing and learning, so I'm not going to profile him. I will never do that again. So I went through 7 weeks of dating and learned that if I had profiled him to begin with, I would have seen the lies and the betrayals that I saw 7 weeks later.
How do you profile somebody?
Part of it is learning. I mean, there's a whole set of questions that you ask yourself. How do you dress? How are you sitting? What are you doing? Are you really, is what you're saying matching how you look? That will tell me whether or not you're prone to lying. Does it make sense, certain things? Some things are looking around an apartment. You want to see, does the whole package match? If it doesn't, then something's askew and you don't know what it is. But you know what it is? For example, he said to me one day, come over to my house and have dinner. I got your favorite ice cream. We had never ever talked about ice cream. So I said, oh, really? What's my favorite? And he said, chocolate mocha. Well, I'm not a big fan of chocolate and I hate mocha. And I said, so you got that for me? And he said, yeah. And I said, honey, that's not my favorite ice cream, so that must be for the other woman. And he said, no, since I started dating you, I'm only seeing you. Well, I learned that wasn't true, but that was one of the slips. And he tried to cover it up, but I knew what we talked about and what we didn't talk about. And ice cream was one of them. So you look around and you pay attention to things like culturally. Are they behaving culturally, or are they stepping into a different zone? It's a whole package, and then another part is intuition. Is something not right, but you don't know what's not right?
That's interesting. I was wondering, what makes you you know all this stuff beforehand, and what makes a woman overlook a lot of this stuff?
Because, that's actually pretty simple. You hope you're wrong. You hope what you're seeing is not what you're seeing. And until it's a red flag, you can justify it.